Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2. You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. We have I know it's going to be a fun show today, and we're going to be definitely going a bit behind the scenes. And so my name is Gail Robertson, and I am Chief Curiosity Officer with GailNow. And I help manufacturers both tell and share their story using a 3-step process of sign up, suit up, and show up. And the guest today, oh yes, she does show up indeed. Lauren is known as the Spindle Chick, and she definitely helps spread the word about manufacturing and the power of showing up in the world of manufacturing. We're also going to be, as I said, going behind the scenes. So I'm excited. I'm going to bring Lauren up on stage right now. Ta-da!
Hello.
I feel we should be doing like a dance or
Some kind of a dance. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, for anyone that may not know Lauren, she is someone who has, as I said, shown up on a few different platforms on social media. And we talked a bit beforehand about the power of that and some of the background for Lauren on social. But before we do that, let me see who's in our studio audience today. We have, James Kunkel is in the house. Hello, James. I have been on James Kunkel's show, and he is an amazing interviewer. What a kind and generous person that has invited me on, and we had a great interview. Inspiration from Inger. Inger is here. Inger also helps in the background, producing shows, and she's also on the other side as well. Hello, Inger. Time to show up. Whitney is another G. I don't know if you know Whitney. If you don't, Whitney is definitely someone that shows up and supports my show. And okay, well, I'm sure if anyone else is joining us today, please know that when you drop a comment, it's a great opportunity for Lauren to know who you are, and also for the other guests to be able to connect with you. So it's really important that you just have to say hello. Just say hello. And we have Megan Zamba. Hello, Megan. And Lauren, you were just on her show. We didn't coordinate that, but it's almost like, I think it was part 1 was last week. Part 2 is this week. We're going to be delving a bit into a bit different side of who Lauren is. So okay, Lauren, why don't we start with your tagline or name that people know you as, the Spindle Chick. So let's talk a little bit about that and the company that you work with.
Yeah, so I work for Motor City Spindle Repair, hence the Spindle Chick. I was one of the only sales reps who was female in the company, and that goes with being chick. So Spindle Chick it is. It's kind of stayed. I was the people were giving me all these crazy names. I was the Spindle Queen, the Spindle Guru, the Spindle everything under the sun, but chick just worked for me. So that's what I go as. But Motor City Spindle Repair specializes in CNC spindle repair for machining centers, turning centers, and grinders. We're based out of Detroit, Michigan.
Right. And we are, I think if I shouted out my window, you might hear me, because I don't know if you know, like we are so close because you're in Dearborn, right? Dearborn?
Yes. Yep.
And I'm in Windsor. And very few people realize that if you would go from downtown Windsor to downtown Detroit through the tunnel and there was no traffic and no customs and no pay time, it would take you like 3 minutes, if that, going under the tunnel, maybe 5, right? So we are that close, Canada and US.
Neighbors, literally.
Neighbors, right? So yes, so I have a feeling we're going to have to get together in real life.
I think you're right.
So I know for anybody that knows what I do as well, I do a lot of work in the manufacturing world, specifically in plastic injection molding, mold making. And that's known as, we talk about as the people who make things that make things. And I guess with spindle repairs, you are maybe the people that repair things that make things.
Yep. We're supporting all the different major manufacturing facets, agriculture, automotive, aerospace, missiles. Yeah, we support to keep them up and running.
So, and you are a sales manager now, right? You manage a sales team?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of relative. We have about 4 or 5 people in our sales staff. It's just either you're working in-house sales or you're working a region. I'm national. So just our locations is kind of based on our title.
Okay. And one of the things for people listening today, I want to, again, welcome everyone. And, you know, while my show talks about manufacturing, I also like to delve into that showing up part. But before you show up, you need to sign up and suit up. So we're going to be talking in context of that, because whoever is listening right now, if you're in manufacturing sales, if you're in marketing, even if you're in operations or recruiting, if you're in the HR, or even if you're outside manufacturing and happen to just come along to see this show, a couple of things that we're going to be really focused on today is how to show up, and also why showing up matters. Because we were talking about this beforehand. I mean, we could just do social media and be online, and I could be doing this show just for fun, although I do find this show fun. But there's also a reason, there's a rationale to showing up, as I say, both in person and online. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we hear people in manufacturing that go to trade shows, they do cold calls, but then when it comes to doing social media, they're like backing away. Mm-hmm. So let's go to step 1 of people may think or assume that, okay, Lauren seems, if you watch some of your stuff, I've seen some of your videos, you seem to know a fair bit about the spindles. And so did you come from a background in manufacturing? I know the answer.
You talk about. Yeah. No, I absolutely did not. I always say this on any kind of interview I do, but I truly did not know what a CNC machine was when I started out. I had no background in the industry. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I knew that I could talk to people and communicate. And so sales is sales, no matter what industry you're in. As long as you learn your product and you believe it and can stand behind it, you can be successful in sales. So didn't know what I was selling, but we learned along the way.
I love that. And it's so important. Like myself, I've worked in insurance, technology, and now manufacturing, and same thing. I often say when I first started mold making, I didn't really completely understand a mold maker versus a molder, like that. Yeah. How that all worked. So, but that's how we learn, right?
How did we end up here, Gail?
So you decided to sign up, and let's take another step back, because I think this is just interesting. People may be saying, well, what did you do before you decided to get into the world of spindles and CNC?
Yes, I was a nice little college student back in the day. I went to college, obviously. I thought I was going to be a sideline reporter. I thought I was going to be the next Aaron Andrews on the sidelines of the NFL teams. That didn't happen for me. And I actually, thank God it didn't. My path changed a little bit, but I went into sales right out of school and was with a company and decided that wasn't my forever home either. So I was applying on Indeed, and I met with the owner, Ted, at Motor City. And 4.5 years later, we're still here and loving it.
So you had no experience in manufacturing. And I hope this is really key for anybody, if there's any owners or HR people or recruiters out there. Yeah. You knew nothing about the industry. Mm-hmm. And yet I do know that you have done, I think, would it be fair to say you're doing pretty good when it comes to selling?
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Brag a bit now.
Yeah, I mean, I work my butt off and it's definitely starting to pay off. And as long as you have someone who's hungry to make results happen and see success for themselves in the company, you don't have to necessarily come from the same background.
How did you suit up? What were some of the things that you did to get ready for getting into this industry? Because it is, I went on and did just a bit of research about spindles, and I mean, I kind of get it, but so tell me a little bit about how you prepared.
You had to definitely, I mean, I had to definitely be willing to kind of just sit down because I'm a very confident, outgoing person that I don't necessarily always take criticism the best. But, or like teaching, I like to just know it right away, but that's not always realistic. So I definitely had to sit back and listen to our technicians because obviously they know what the heck they're talking about. And our owners, they're successful. They know what to do to build a business and how to remain at the top of an industry. So definitely sitting down, listening to them, doing my own online knowledge. I read blogs all the time about the manufacturing industry. I'm always seeing what people in our industry are doing and how they're promoting and their products and everything. So definitely being willing to learn and kind of just take a back seat for a while.
We are probably have some similarities here. I'm the same way. It's like, okay, I remember one time I wanted to learn how to play the piano.
Yeah.
So I started to
We've
learn.
both been there too.
I'm like, well, what do you mean bang, bang, bang? And I was like, so I gave up that because that was going to take way too long. I said, when do I get to play a song?
Yeah. It's like, no, I know how to do this. Meanwhile, I can't hit 3 notes correctly. Yep.
Yeah. So, but I think it also sounds like you had a definite interest. What do you think made that? What do you think made the difference for you deciding to find a place in this company doing this work?
I mean, I just really liked having to find a new home. I wasn't necessarily happy where I was. And I'm like, there's something more for me out there. It maybe might not be in this industry because I'm just not feeling connected necessarily. So maybe I did need to dive into something completely out of my comfort zone to find my place. And right now I can definitely say this is my place. And I plan to stay with Motor City for a long time and continue to be the Spindle Chick because I couldn't be the Spindle Chick anywhere else. So I always live by a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And I really believe that was my story too.
I love that the comfort zone idea, because I know that's also really important to have growth is to step outside. And it sounds like the owner at Motor City was someone who saw in you, even though you didn't have any experience in the world, that in the manufacturing world, that you had this great potential.
Yes, he is like my second father, to be honest with you, Ted Laginski. He's awesome. I couldn't have done this or wouldn't have done this without him supporting me throughout it. So he definitely saw some potential. Young, hungry person, just ready for a change and willing to work. And here I am.
Here you are indeed. Yes, you have. So you decided, I guess. So when you were wanting to do the sports reporting, that's because my background is actually as a journalist. I call myself a recovering journalist now because I spent some time in journalism, working in media. But did you do much of the sports reporting? Did you actually right there doing that?
So in college, I worked for the basketball team. I did some sideline reporting for the football team. I interned with 3 different media companies, doing sideline reporting and behind the scenes broadcasting and all that. So I definitely had the experience. It just didn't work out for me, and that's all right.
Yeah.
On to bigger and better.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've, and I think you're someone who believes possibly in that there might have been a different plan for you.
Exactly. Absolutely. I just didn't know it back then.
Didn't know that. When I look back, I often go, oh, geez, like, because I'm on about my 5th career now of doing different things. And I'm really coming to see that, that diversity of interests is what has been a strength for me. Like, it's not like I thought I was going to be, went into journalism, thought I'd be in journalism for my whole career. And
it's funny how things work out like that. It really is.
Yes, it did. So you did the sign up, which was a mindset of deciding to go into this wonderful world of manufacturing, then the suiting up. So all of the reading, listening, and clearly I've seen some of your videos that very impressed with your knowledge of, even though like, now to be honest, I don't know if you're right or wrong, but you sound like, I think they wouldn't post it if they thought it was wrong.
Yeah, right. You'd think not, right?
Yeah. So now we get to show up. And so again, for people listening today, and I know I see some of the names, there are a lot of the people that are here today are people that show up on social, but I know there's sometimes people in the background, the lurkers that might be listening. And so let's talk about showing up, because you have definitely, well, before we do that, just a minute, I want to, before we do that, because this started with, let's going back to, I think must have still been in college. We're going to put this photo up. Hold on. I got to cue the music. Just a minute here.
I love this for us.
Okay, here we go. This will lead us into where everything started with Lauren showing up. I'm going to try to cue this at the same time. We've got this and
Look
you
at
sing
that.
the rest? I don't know that song as well, or I join you.
Yep, that's a good song. We got to get you singing it now.
So the reason I want to put that up is Lauren entered a contest. Here's the thing. Lauren is a singer, and I've heard her sing, so I can vouch that she is a good singer as well.
Thank you.
So at age 20, so you were in college.
Yep.
And you entered a contest. So why don't you take the story from there?
Yes. So I was driving and I was listening to my radio station in Milwaukee, and they said, if you want to upload a video of yourself singing to that song specifically, you could win a chance to sing on stage with Keith Urban at Summerfest in Milwaukee, which is the largest music festival in the world. And I was like, that ain't happening for me. But you know what? I sang and I submitted an entry, and 2 weeks later, his record label called me and they said, hey, you're going to sing with him in 2 days. So I didn't think I'd won it because they called me 2 days before the show. So here I was freaking out. I had plans for when his show was, so I had to cancel all my plans, learn this song because I wasn't taking it seriously at the time. I didn't think I'd won it. And 2 days later, I sang in front of, I think, 50,000 people with him. So wild. I was really cool for one single day, Gail.
Oh, no. You're still cool with me.
Thank you. That's all that matters.
I think you need to do a new TikTok and I'll duet it with you.
Perfect.
Deal?
I'm on it.
Okay.
It's a date.
You sing that song and I'll do a duet and it'll go viral, I think.
I think so too.
I always laugh when people say that.
It'll go viral. I'll be Keith. You can be me.
Okay. Which is also, you were like the Miranda Lambert of
yeah.
So you are up there fifth in front. Okay. The reason I want to show this, I do want to say that Lauren and I are probably at the more extreme end of, like, being willing to show up and do some of these things. And
I'd say
not everybody, but I think everybody has their own place of, I always say, when I get asked to do something, I learned this in my heroic public speaking, and it's from improv, which sometimes when someone may ask you to do something, sometimes the first reaction can be, oh, no, I can't, I'm not ready. And instead we learned the answer is yes. And so if someone asks you to do something that's outside your comfort zone, then you may say, yes, and I may need to adjust, what I'm going to be doing with this, but always say yes first rather than no. So
yes, that's so funny you actually say that. I'm known in my friend group as being the yes woman because I'm always down to do anything. And just like you said, adjust plans, adjust whatever your mental structure is, just make it work in your own way to be successful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. If we had been at the same time, I think both of us out and about, I mean, we'd be like, yeah, let's go.
I know. We don't even need any alcohol. We're just those people.
Exactly. I went to a party one time when they had karaoke. I'm like, when are we starting the karaoke? And everybody was like,
oh, you are me.
We have not had enough to drink. And I'm like, well, I'll be the first. Let's get this party started. So I was the first person to do, and it was kind of weird because everybody's standing around, looked like they just stared.
I know, they're like, who is this person? I can't tell if I like it or I hate it, but whatever.
Yes, as the night went on, more people started to sing, but yeah,
Love
it
it.
was
Love it.
it was fun. So Keith Urban's story, and then so now let's go to, so maybe you're not the person that's going to necessarily be getting on a stage with Keith Urban in front of 50,000 people, but let's now look at what are some tips you could give to people in manufacturing in particular about showing up, and maybe tell the story about the LinkedIn story for Motor City Spindle.
Yeah. So back when I started with the company 4.5 years ago now, LinkedIn, it was still a place to sell your product. It was a business platform, but it wasn't necessarily places that you saw people posting videos or posting selfies or more personal posts. So Ted actually encouraged me to do selfie recording videos. I would hold my phone out like this and I would talk to the camera, and it was super uncomfortable because I was the only one kind of doing that on the platform. And now that's really a standard online. It's become the norm, and more personal posts are being posted, and you see more of lifestyle things. And I think that definitely you don't necessarily, like you were saying, the lurkers, right? You don't necessarily have to post 7 times in a week to have your presence shown. Once every couple days, once a month, even just getting your name out there for people to see and kind of associating you with their company is good enough. So you don't have to be as outgoing and forward as me or someone else is. Just do it at your own pace, but get your name out there a little bit.
I love that. And I always say, you need people up at the front, breaking through barriers, which I think you have done in your world. I've done, like when I went on TikTok, because I didn't plan TikTok to sort of become how I would be known, but it started out really just as fun. Like, I'm like, my son and his friends were showing me how to do these different things. But there is so much more room at the table when it comes to showing up online.
Yeah.
One of the stats that always I repeat, because even I find this one hard to believe, is that on LinkedIn, only 1 to 5% of people are posting. So if you do the math, then that means,
I didn't even know that. That's insane.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then if you're doing, that's why I say, if you do one post every 2 months, not even once a month, you're still further ahead. And so, yeah. And let's talk about the why. I mean, obviously, so you came in, Ted sounds like he was very forward thinking. I think he knew exactly how to come in, and that's amazing. Why keep doing it?
It's definitely the sales technique that keeps on selling. It's once you post something online, it can be viewed 3 years down the road. It's as long as people are engaging with it. It can be viewed by your connections and your 4th and 5th connections. I mean, once you post something, it's going to be there for forever until you delete it. And even past then, people could have still screenshotted it or whatever it may be. So it's a technique for salespeople specifically to really sell their product without having to do the cold calls 24/7. It's just an additional technique to help benefit yourself. I also think, like, if you're a maintenance manager or if you're in HR for your company, and you still want to be getting your company name out there. So you don't necessarily have to be in sales to be posting online about your company. And what I like to do personally is I do put a lot of lifestyle posts out there, because I am a direct representation of my company too. So I always tag them at the bottom of every single post. But people like to connect with people, and I like to form genuine relationships. And that's my way of doing so.
I love that, the idea of, the sales technique that keeps selling, because you're right. I mean, I've even seen people, even from a comment from a show that I did months ago, and then all of a sudden someone just happens, they must have come across it because it'll show up in my notifications. And I'm like,
right,
what's happening with that show? And it was like, that was months and months ago, and someone liked it or commented on it. So it's somehow it's come across as, and so that's important. And in terms of what is next for you? Do you have any other platforms or things you're looking at doing
Yeah,
next?
so I'm really diving into the other social media platforms too. We actually, when we were discussing this earlier, Gail, you said, different platforms don't always need to be cohesively like one single brand, because they do differ so much. LinkedIn is business mixed with lifestyle. Instagram, again, can be business mixed with lifestyle. TikTok is more so like a fun, at least for me, and what I've experienced on TikTok is more of like a fun, just place to put your personality out there a little bit more. So I'm really diving into different social medias. I think people don't always use just LinkedIn or just Instagram. They're kind of looking at different things too. So you're going to reach different audiences on each one of them. So I think it's beneficial to kind of immerse yourself on each one a little bit here and there. So keep doing that is what I'm planning on.
And that maybe tie into something else you said too about not just salespeople or not just marketing people need to be on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say that again. Not just the marketing people or the salespeople need to be on social media. And I've often said this, the best salespeople and the best recruiters aren't your salespeople and your recruiters. They're actually other people that work in the company. And I know myself at other companies I worked at, I was often helping with recruiting because when I was out and about, I would meet someone and ask them some questions. They'd ask me about because I had a lot of passion. Luckily, I've worked for places, I think like you, that I've had a lot of passion for. So it makes it easier to promote them.
Yeah. Yeah. To tie along with that, I mean, Instagram, for example, we have a machinist named Thomas Allman. He's on Instagram. I think he has almost 30,000 followers and he posts strictly just machining videos. I mean, there is a huge market for manufacturers who want that technical side of things being shown. So if you're not in sales and you're running a machine or you're constantly going to machine shop floors where you have other people running things, if you take a video of that and you put it online, you're going to get so much engagement from people that are searching and typing that in. So yeah, you definitely don't just have to be a sales rep posting selfies 24/7. Like the technical side is extremely important in the industry.
Yes. And I love that because from some of the research I do with your company and you is that there's a mix. It's not, and people, we hear this, we hear it over and over again, the no like trust. I mean, people connect with people based on who they are. They're not connecting with just Motor City Spindle. They're not connecting with a faceless computer. They're connecting with a person. So speaking of, I'm going to go out there on a limb here. We're going to post something just to show how real we are. And, I want to throw it in. And plus I'm learning to throw in a bit of a video here in. So let's go. I'm going to add this to the stream and then we'll come back and talk about this.
Okay. When you take your hair extensions out and you're left with literally 2 strands of hair, I mean, holy flying balls. What is this? What is this? What is this? I look like a mother effing sewer rat and I don't know what to do. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're really doing me like that on a Wednesday
I showed up in a shower cap, for that TikTok this morning.
I was like, did we just become best friends? Because I think so.
Well, the funny thing is, I will share this with people that may think like I actually did that, posted it, and then set it to private, and then I set it to Ingrid, and I'm going, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm so happy you posted that. I was like, my girl.
And then I thought, and Ingrid said something. She goes, you know what? That's who I am. I mean, I do that, and I've done some of my other TikToks. For everybody watching and just seeing that. Now, that's not something we're going to put on LinkedIn, but it is. Right. It's very much about TikTok, right? And I've really, when I'm working with clients, so I would say, like, you have to understand the platform and don't cookie cutter it. Don't do a post and then Twitter, LinkedIn, and do the same right across the board because you're not understanding the audiences, right? So people that are on TikTok, other than the people who make comments like, sometimes I like reading the comments and laugh because I was like, okay, You do not understand TikTok because they're commenting. They
Right.
think it's real. They think you're actually like,
Right.
it's
When it's like,
trend.
it's just a trend on TikTok. It has nothing to do with who you are. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, no. So there's our little TikTok lesson for today. If you're going to go on TikTok, jumping on trends is important. Being definitely edgy and maybe saying things that aren't technically part of your brand per se, but
Right.
yeah, you can have a little fun and jump in but I don't recommend like do some other platforms first, get comfortable with them.
Yeah. I second that statement.
Yes. And remember too, like, and I am aware that, and as I'm sure you are, people will search and they'll find these things. And and one of the things that we talked about beforehand too, is that how you got my attention, because I love this on TikTok. There's always things that make me stop when you said, this may be a controversial post. And that's why I'm like, oh, I'm going to listen. And it made me really appreciate you even more, because I thought that took, and I will say this, even if I didn't agree, I love when people will speak up about something they feel strongly about or that they have a belief in. So do you want to talk about that post and what happened after that?
Yeah. So I am a Christ follower and I wear a cross every single day. I never take it off. And when your audience grows on a platform, you start getting a lot of messages about things that you never talk about, right? So things you're wearing, things you look like, I don't know. So I was getting a lot of messages about that cross, and I never thought it would be something that I would post about on my platform, but I was getting enough that I was like, this means something to me. I've built this brand about who I am, and I'm trying to be super transparent with people and be myself and connect on a deeper level with people, because that's how I feel my sales have taken off. And so I made a post and I said, this might be a controversial post for some of you, so ignore that. Keep scrolling if you feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to talk about my faith and why I wear my cross, because some of you have asked and it's important to me. So I did that post. It got 75,000 likes. I think I got thousands and thousands of followers from it overnight. I mean, in a couple of hours. And I mean, it helped me, but it was something that I had to be super vulnerable about and just take a chance at, because it meant something to me as myself, not my Motor City brand. It was me as a person. And yeah, I took a chance.
Well, what I appreciate about that is that, and then I see sometimes people will say things like, oh, this is on Facebook, but I mean, it was one post of many that you've done, right? So it's not like you are doing that all the time. And what LinkedIn is really all about is about, sharing a bit about who you are and what your business is. And again, I want for anybody listening, I'll do this little, asterisk here. It doesn't mean if you have a view or you whatever, and you don't want to share it. Okay, here's the biggest tip of the day. You don't have to share it. You can, there's nobody making you share anything personal. And obviously you were called to do that, it sounds like, and it, and it didn't. So the controversial post, it actually didn't hurt your brand. It actually helped it.
It helped. It helped to step out of stepping out of a comfort zone online. Nothing ever grows there, like I said before. So doing things that set you apart from people, I guess, is something that can really benefit you and your company brand. So take a chance. The thing is with me too, is I post 5 days a week. If I don't post 5 days a week, there's something seriously wrong with me. But after a while, people get so sick of being preached at about a sales pitch. So it's like, what can I do to still keep people's engagement and to build my brand without just constantly talking about my company? So it's just something that I learned to do, is those lifestyle posts, things that might not be agreed upon easily, but it's just something different.
And this is, I had talked about this recently with a guest as well. The idea of people will go to a trade show or they'll be in an office. And I'm sure you've had conversations about your faith in the past while in some sort of work capacity or with someone. I would guess that that's come up if you've been at an event. So if that's the case, what's the difference between doing that and bringing that over to LinkedIn. And that's what I find there's this block right now for a lot of people that will do things in person in real life, IRL, but then they don't want to share it on LinkedIn. And it is 2022.
I hear that a lot. Actually, at the last IMTS, someone came up to me and they said, they were talking about my posts and they were like, I want to post things like that. He literally said he wants to post things like that, but he's worried about the backlash that he can get from his employer or people that are his customers. And I just said, that you can believe what you want, but as a Christian, as a Christ follower, that's part of me. That's like the base of who I am. So for you to be connected with me and to share a relationship of any sort, like I'm going to tell you that. It might take a couple of years for me to be comfortable enough in my own skin online to do so, but it came out and that's my calling, and you should follow your calling as well, whatever that may be for you.
Yeah, I like you sharing that because, and it has to be, as we said, whatever someone's comfort zone is, or maybe stepping outside the comfort zone. And I will say this, that for me, the TikTok example is that's kind of more who I am. If anybody sees me out any places, I'm that person that's more, I might break out into song or,
Yep.
My son once said to me, because I'll come downstairs, he says, you can't have a thought without saying it out loud. I'm like, oh, what good is that though?
Yeah. Who is that? Not me.
So yeah, it is, TikTok for sure has been something that's helped me even in terms of, if someone wants to hire me even to come speak as a keynote speaker, I'm going to bring that personality to the stage.
Right.
And I did a women in aerospace event. And one of the things that proved to be very successful is I started with kind of a dramatic intro. Like I was in costume actually. And it was really interesting because at first then people didn't like, what? But then as I went out to speech, I came back into my, my story and, it was very powerful because I think a lot of people really like that, even though they'd be like, oh, I could never do that. I hear that a lot.
Right.
Oh, I could never do that.
Yeah, I feel like especially on social media, you have to have your own brand these days because everyone is doing the exact same thing as everyone else. They're trying to be this cookie cutter thing and it gets very boring. It just is like this stalemate social media and everyone is taken already and over and over again. You see replications of the same thing. So do something different. Who cares if there's going to be some backlash? It could actually turn out in your favor. So take a chance.
Take a chance on me.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. I actually hear things like that and in my head, songs go through my head. Okay, let's take a break and we're going to go to the studio audience and hear some comments because we have people commenting. A lot of people right now are on YouTube. I've transitioned to really having my show more on YouTube, even though I do promote it on LinkedIn. We had a few glitches along the way with LinkedIn. So I see there's a mix of people from both LinkedIn and Instagram, I was going to say, and YouTube. So I don't know if we can go back. Where do we leave off? I think we left off at, where's our next comment? Let's see here we go. Oh, Jason. Now, do you know Jason? Jason Bean? Hello, Jason. Okay, next. Let's see. Whitney says, I caught a bit of Lauren's appearance on Megan's show last week. Thank you. And I don't know, Lauren, I don't know. I don't know if I can hear you.
You are not, I'm talking to my dogs because they're barking.
Oh, okay, you went on mute. Okay, good. Well, we'll have to bring on the dogs after.
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out? Who?
Just living my real life over here, Gail. Dog mom and all.
Tal Chudner is here. He says, hi again, Lauren, good vibes. So Tal is with Cavalier Tool and does a lot of work in the area of kind of HR, but also works with schools, was very instrumental in the manufacturing day recently and making connections in the community and at really working to get more young people, especially thinking about manufacturing. So if Tal, if you're still here, how do? Okay. What a great quote. I agree. We learn more in moments of chaos. Okay. I forget what the quote was, but Megan is here. Say that. So yes, I do think sometimes we learn the most during chaos and difficulty, not when everything's going smoothly. And I love Keith Urban. I'm so jealous, Lauren. Yes. Who does not love Keith Urban? Okay.
Right.
Sure, but I love Keith Urban too. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, we are extreme in a good way most of the time. I feel like the internet's going to come crashing down in a minute, the two of you together. Yes. Wait till that TikTok comes out.
Yeah, no kidding.
Duetting. You ladies need to join in. Why did I? Okay. Yes, definitely. Okay. Megan, let's do that. Let's do some karaoke.
We got to prepare ahead of time.
Oh, yeah. It's, I'm a great backup singer too. So, both definitely Breaking Bears. Thank you, Inger, showing up. Yes. And we're both have no background technically in manufacturing. So that makes it cool too. Yes, Whitney, so hard getting people outside of sales to think posting LinkedIn is for them. That will probably be difficult for a while to come yet.
Yep.
Keep saying it, Gail. Yes, I will. Talk about showing up. We are trying, and take a chance. Yeah. Oh, good for you, Lauren. We should never have to hide our faith. Yes. And I know Inger has a show every Friday morning, and she talks about, inspiration from Inger. She has a lot of people on talking about networking, connecting, and also often has people on talking about faith and the power of faith. And I'm a big promoter of, I think, having faith is in whatever, different religions as well. It's helpful to have something greater than us to believe in.
Absolutely.
Kind of, for me, it gives hope too. I don't know. I often think, especially in our world right now, that hope is very important.
We need it.
We need it. Mike Tao, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I love your personal brand and how you promote Motor City. So do you know Mike? No, do you know Mike?
I do not.
Okay.
Hi,
well,
Mike.
hello, Mike.
Thank you.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Please, if we're not connected, let's make sure we connect on LinkedIn. And I know there was some other, there was just some other, not just some other, but there was some other networking going on in the comments. So thank you everyone for commenting. Always important to connect with one another on both LinkedIn and YouTube. It's funny. I've just started dabbling in YouTube shorts. And so I did one before the show, but last time I checked it was, but I often say, you got to try some things, right? Because sometimes I go, I didn't do very well. But then I'm like, but I wouldn't have known, right?
Right. Trial and error.
Trial and error. That's what I'd recommend for everybody. And guess what? In a week or whatever, I won't even remember about that. I remember different things I've done posts on. When I started in Twitter in around 2007 or 8. No idea what the heck
I know.
It was like, what tagging?
Yeah. Don't let that intimidate you, anyone. Like, we all started from ground zero with these social media platforms and we built it up. So it takes some time, but you'll figure it out. Don't let it discourage you.
Yeah. And what about engaging with others? How have you found that? Anything around what you do with engaging with other people in both, I guess let's talk online. How has that worked for you?
Definitely engaging is key. First of all, it shows support so that you don't feel like you're just out in the wilderness with nothing to lean on. So it shows support to that creator. But it also, when you like a post, it shows up on your connections pages. So you're really helping that creator get more visibility. So when I like your post, I'm bringing you into my realm of connections and vice versa. So commenting is the same way, sharing is the same way. Shows support, but it definitely brings different audiences in and spreads your word to multiple people. So it's definitely a win-win if you find the right people to do that.
Yes. And I do often recommend to people to go out, and even if you don't post, before you're ready to post, just go and start commenting on other people's pages. Because it's amazing how many people I've met through comments and how many people have connected with me through comments. Like someone that I would never thought of, like, oh, this is a cool person, because I've seen them comment on someone that I know, and then it opens up. But then what happens is it opens up a door of everybody in their world
Right, exactly. And even if your company is all on LinkedIn, what we do at Motor City is everyone's posting. We have technicians posting, we have owners posting, we have sales reps posting, but whoever posts on whatever day, I mean, everyone is always liking and commenting on each other's posts. So we're really circling within our connections in the company. So to get a whole company on board, it's difficult, but if you can do that, it will definitely be beneficial for you.
Cool. So we talked a bit about, so you're expanding, I guess, testing out some other platforms. You also mentioned how Instagram is proving to be, have greater following, which is, because I always hear mixed reviews sometimes about Instagram, and I use Instagram, I guess I can kind of see that because it's very, especially if you are using photos, and then reels and that. So maybe give a few tips about Instagram, what you're finding.
Yeah. So I have 2 Instagram accounts. I have my personal Lauren LaDell brand, and then I have my work one. And my work has blown up, honestly, in the last couple months. And I post strictly technical videos and pictures on that account, and then my lifestyle on my personal. So I separated the 2 on there. And I found that there are so many people in manufacturing on Instagram. It's actually unbelievable. So I also heard the same thing as you, Gail, where they said that Instagram really wasn't the best platform for this industry specifically, but I think that's a lie. And I have the blown up following to prove that. And not that it's about that, but I'm saying you can have success on Instagram for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the other things changed, right? Like what was very popular. I mean, at one point, everybody was saying Facebook, and then Facebook kind of like, and Facebook still has potential. I always say Facebook, like, I'm not someone who says, oh, that's the terrible platform. I think every platform has potential. For me, Facebook isn't something I use a lot of, other than just personal, right? Personal, friends, family kind of thing. And, but interesting. That was, I'm going to have to look in a bit more into my Instagram. I do a mix, right? So of both personal, I do some, that's my boomerang place. Anybody that goes cycling with me knows they're probably going to be part of a boomerang, because when we stop for coffee, usually it's like,
in and out, in and out. I know about that boomerang life.
Yes, it's and then sometimes my son and friends, they just roll their eyes because they think it's kind of like, oh, that's what older people do.
Yeah, no one under the age of 25 does boomerangs these days, apparently.
No. But everybody over that age thinks when I do it that it is cool. So
yes, hey, same. I love a boomerang.
My son will say too, if I'm doing a TikTok trend that happens to be old, he says, Mom, that's old. I said, yeah, old for you, but new in my world.
Right, exactly. That's all that matters.
I remember too, like learning about watching, how things were showing up on my son's feed versus mine. And it's like, that's when the world is like, wow, we are in two
separate universes.
Yes. Very, very different. Yes. Oh, lots of fun. So the other thing I want to mention, those people listen, not that, and I know that vanity, the so-called vanity metrics aren't necessarily, always the most telling of being connected to success. But I would say for you that does seem to be happening, because I just did a quick count. You have I think in all of your platforms, well over 100,000 followers, and you have 72,000 on LinkedIn. That's very powerful. Just maybe before we start to wrap up, how do you think that is? Can we just hit home again on, for anybody joining in, how that relates to your sales success?
Yeah. So when I started, I was the person cold calling. I was messaging 24/7 on LinkedIn and definitely dialing the phones like a crazy person. And I feel like, I know now I don't have to do that as much. I definitely don't have to dial the phones the way I did to have success in sales. Like I said, sales is online is the gift that keeps on selling for you. And I think that really transferred into my success and our success at Motor City. We see a lot of leads come from social media, and we have a way of tracking that through Salesforce. or just Google searching, our online presence has really transferred into our overall sales success and backlog. So we are seeing incredible numbers from social media. So if I can say one thing to people, I mean, it would be to get online here and there, at least immerse yourself a little bit and see if it can take off for you the way it did for us.
Okay, there we have it. This is definitely a moment of, everybody, even the lurkers out there, if you're in sales, this is why showing up online is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So one of the questions I ask all my guests is like, how do you exercise your curious mind?
How do I exercise my curious mind, Gail? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I think my curious mind is just seeing what other people are doing and seeing how that is affecting their business, I guess, if we're going to. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's my curious mind. It's like, what's working for you? Would that work for us? What's working for me? Would that work for you? How can we mutually benefit each other here? Can we create a partnership? Can we create some kind of social connection that really is that win-win? So I guess my curious mind is always just what's the next step and how can I help you and how can you help me?
Yeah. And I think based on what you've said throughout this show, I mean, curiosity is about being open to new ideas, asking questions. And I would say, again, your curiosity was shown when you learned about spindles. Like that's and listening, right? Like
you can answer for me.
Well, that was a bit of sometimes, and see, that's why I don't, as I always tell people, we don't prep a lot of time in advance in terms of like, here's the 5 questions you're going to ask. But I think you are having success because you have a naturally curious mind. And I would say a lot of times people don't even realize that the curiosity they have. I didn't until I took a heroic public speaking course, and everybody kept saying like, oh, you're the most curious person. And I'm like, what? I didn't see it. Because I didn't think it was that unusual. But as time has gone on now, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I am. Like,
yeah. You have to be forward thinking. That's for
Yes.
sure. You can't just sit back on the sidelines and hope things come to you. You gotta put yourself out there and make things come to you. Yes.
And you are also a Packers fan.
Always a cheesehead.
And I think so. You're from Wisconsin, right?
Yes. Yep. I actually live in Wisconsin, so I work remote, and I go to Michigan every month to work out of the office. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know Katie McDermott is here, and I think Katie, aren't you in Wisconsin? I gotta think so. And you were just at the Lions game, which I was invited to go, but I had other plans, so I was like, so.
Darn. Well, it was a good game for you to have been at, and not for me.
They actually won. This is
it was a good game. Not really, but I'm going to say that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I know it's always, I'm not a football person per se, but because my son who's 20, he's a big football fan, and I'm all about, there was a local person from LaSalle, Luke Wilson. So I was a big fan of the Seattle team when he played on Seattle.
So, the Seahawks, yes.
Then he came to Detroit, and I thought, perfect. And now he's not there. But now I'm back to, I guess I have a Detroit shirt. So
there you go. With that shirt. It's all that matters.
And it's all about the football parties and the tailgate parties and the Super Bowl parties.
Yep. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. This was some really good information here. Everybody, make sure you follow Lauren on a few different social media platforms. If you Google her, the Spindle Chick, you'll find everything. And if you need any spindle repairs, make sure you reach out as well. And I'm just going to have you go to the green room, and I'll be there shortly.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Lauren. Maybe I'll just ask this for me. What's the best way if someone wants to get in touch with you? What would be the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll answer it always. Lauren@MotorCityRepair.com.
Perfect. All right, Lauren LaDell, the Spindle Chick.
That's me. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Lauren. See you in the green room shortly.
All right. Thank you.
You know, it's really interesting when you meet people through social media. I know I'm going to meet Lauren in real life because I think we would have much fun together, and maybe it's going to be at a football game. So thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want to reach out to myself, you can find me on YouTube. I now have, if you go youtube.com/@GailNow, you can find me. My channel is GailNow. And also on LinkedIn and just about every other platform. And stay tuned on TikTok because I think Lauren and I are going to be doing a duet soon. Thanks everybody for coming out. And remember, the power is in curiosity. The power is about asking why and asking how, looking around corners, stepping outside your comfort zone, and always making sure that you can both show and tell your story when you sign up, suit up, and show up. See you next week, everybody.